Well, good afternoon. So nice to have this big crowd here this afternoon, this beautiful, beautiful afternoon. I'm Dr. Kelly Zuniga, CEO here at Holocaust Museum Houston. Thank you. It's days like these that I just wake up and I'm so excited to come to work because Ruth Steinfeld is being honored today. So I wanted to let you know that we are especially honored this afternoon and grateful to France's new Consul General, and that is Ms. Valerie Baraban, and she is right in front, and I would like her to just stand so you can see who she is. So welcome to our great city, and thank you for allowing us to host this prestigious ceremony this afternoon at Holocaust Museum Houston. Not only is this a sacred location to host today's event, but I can't think of a more fitting gathering to bring so many of us together in person and at this moment in time to celebrate Ruth Steinfeld. So before we begin the program, I would like to honor all of our beloved Houston survivors. So will you either stand or raise your hand so we can recognize you? And to demonstrate how we are such a big family, how about the descendants of those survivors? Would they please stand or raise your hand? Thank you. I'm so glad so many of you are able to attend today. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our board chair, Carl Josehart, who has been hard at work this year. He's entering his second year. And I was teasing him the other day because I told him that, gee, this is your first in-person event in a year and a half. And so this is a really special program for him because he hasn't been seeing anyone in person. So a warm round of applause for Carl Josehart.
Thank you, Kelly, and good afternoon. Or as we say here at HMH in Texas, shalom, y'all. Thank you for coming out on this glorious day. Your presence illustrates your love and support for Ruth Steinfeld, as well as for the museum and our important mission. Today, I have the great honor of introducing Consul General Valerie Baraban. With more than 15 years of service, yes, please. With more than 15 years of service in the diplomatic corps, Consul General Baraban took over the French consulate of Houston Post in September. The consulate promotes economic, scientific, educational, and cultural relationships and exchanges with its local partners. We are honored that Consul General Baraban, her husband Lionel, and their 3 children now call Houston home. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Valerie Baraban, Consul General of France in Houston.
Dear Ruth Steinfeld, dear family and friends of Ruth Steinfeld, dear Mrs. Zuniga, Director of the Museum of Holocaust in Houston, ladies and gentlemen, today is a memorable day. I'm thrilled that we are all gathering to honor an exceptional lady France is going to reward. Dear Ruth, please, let me start by trying to summarize the main periods of your life. You were born in Germany to Alfred and Anna Krell in a small town in 1933. The year Hitler rose to power as the chairman of Germany. You were raised in a family full of love, with your sister Leah, 14 months later, older than you. In your early childhood, you were confronted in your flesh with the rise of Nazism, victim of humiliation, deprivation, and violence. 2 years after the Kristallnacht, your family was arrested by the Gestapo, put onto a truck, then into jail, and to the train, deported to the south of France, to the internment camp of Gurs in the French Pyrenees. In Gurs, the Nazis separated men and women, and you were separated from your father forever. In France, in Gurs, with Leah and your mother, you spent months languishing in the drafty barracks of the camp, among women, screaming and crying because their sons and husbands had been taken away. Your mother aspired to find a way to get you to what she would foresee to be safer for you. A French agency for the protection of children, l'Œuvre de Secours aux Enfants, finally agreed to take you and Leah and keep you alive until the end of the war. From Gurs, you and Leah were taken to Le Château du Majelier in La Creuse. You were given a French name, Régine. As eventually the château became known to the French and the German Nazi, you and Leah were put on the train to La Tour du Pin, taken next to a small farm in Faverges de la Tour, near Lyon and the Alps, in a good family, Monsieur and Madame Chapeau and their daughter, Paulette. Then, after the massacre of the population in Oradour-sur-Glane by the Nazis, you and Leah were moved once more to another orphanage in Saint-Étienne. After the war, you were sent to Draveil, near Paris, where there were immigration offices. After months of waiting, and thanks to the support of your grandfather in the United States, you finally got to New York. Before he died, your grandfather had asked a Jewish organization to help your aunt and uncle who were hosting you in New York find a place for you to live. For the first time in your life, you could choose where to live. Minneapolis, too cold. Seattle, too far. So you chose Houston, which had cowboys. Once in Houston, you were then 16. You joined the Jewish Community Center. You looked for a job, and that's how you started to be on your own. You got married to Larry Steinfeld, and you started a family, giving birth to 3 daughters. In 1981, the Holocaust Committee in Washington invited you and Leah for a trip to Israel, a meeting of Holocaust survivors from around the world to celebrate being alive. In Serge Klarsfeld's compilation of the names, birthplaces, and dates of all the Jews deported from France, you read what happened to your parents and the truth about the convoy number 30, which left Drancy on September 9, 1942. With your sister, in order to be able to tell your story to your descendants, you started researching your family and your past in Germany and France. You were firmly engaged in the creation of the Museum of the Holocaust in Houston. Today, dear Ruth, you are a strong pillar, a unique reference, an outstanding example, an invaluable witness within the community of the survivors in Houston. The summary of your life speaks for itself, illuminating your exceptional courage, commitment, sense of responsibility, hope, and confidence in life. The years in Germany were terrible for your family, the prelude of tragedy. You discovered that your father and your mother were born in Germany, but none of them had German citizenship. In the absence of a birth certificate, you arrived in America without citizenship, your sister being declared your guardian. The years in France were marked by your resilience, You could have been devastated by years of being taken away again and again. Your father had been taken away from you. You had been taken away from your mother, taken away from the family chapeau, and temporary Leah was taken away from you. Furthermore, these years were marked by the most courageous thing a mother can do: force their children to leave her to save their lives. As you say, your mother had given you your lives twice. We, mother, understand what such a sacrifice means. Today, by honoring you, we are honoring your mother and her courage. Definitively, your commitment roots in the memory of your mother. Looking back to that period, you say, I quote your book, "I love France and I love that the good people of France gave me in life. But now, when I think of those days in France, I become sad. I think of how hard it must have been on my mother to give up Leah and me." The first years in the United States were the years of reconstruction, emancipation, and transmission. Today, you have 3 children, 11 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren. And your sister Leah has 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. The years after the trip to Israel are the years of responsibility. Dear Ruth, you show such intelligence, such mental clarity, and moral conscience. I quote what you tell yourself after the trip. I had a family and a business, but now I had a purpose. You committed to honoring the children who were not as fortunate, and you committed to speaking for these 1,500,000 children who never had a chance to survive. At that time, you realized that you and Leah were French survivors. Dear Ruth, you're a powerful lady. You are committed to honoring your people and the community of survivors. Today, it's your turn to be celebrated. I have the privilege to be the representative of France who will reward you today. As a mother of children who belong to the community of French survivors' descendants, I feel fortunate and I'm deeply touched to be the one who will bestow France's highest civilian honor, the French Legion of Honor, on you, Ruth, an Holocaust survivor. The history of the Legion of Honor stems back to 1802, after all French orders of chivalry were abolished during the French Revolution. Napoleon Bonaparte, who was then the first consul of the First French Republic, instituted a new order to recognize merit, the National Order of the Legion of Honor. This was meant to reward civilians and soldiers who had achieved great things in the service of France. Since its creation, the award has remained the highest, most prestigious decoration in France. It's given solely as recognition of merit or bravery, being open to men and women of all ranks and professions. So now, dear Ruth Steinfeld, if you would like to come close to me. Dear Ruth Steinfeld, on behalf of the President of the French Republic, and by virtue of the powers conferred upon us, we hereby declare you Knight of the Legion of Honor. Long live France, long live United States, l'Echaim!
Thank you, everyone, for coming, number one. I really am honored that you would take the afternoon and spend it with me, because this is so unusual and so important. So I thank you. This is a little speech I wrote down. Thank you so much, Valerie. Where did she go? Thank you so much, Valerie Barabin, the new Consul General of France to Houston. Is that not? With her charm and personality, I know that she will be a true Texan in no time. I'm aware that the honor you and Alexis Andres are awarding me is the most prestigious anyone can receive. I am so moved to be presented the Legion of Honor. Leah, my sister, she passed away 13 years ago. Leah, my sister, was only 8 and I was 7 when my family and I arrived in concentration camp Gurs. My sister and I did not even mind sharing our meager rations with my mother as long as we could be with her. The OSE is an agency that is supported by France, but they take care of, at that time, of Jewish children. The OSE had come into the camps pretending to be the Red Cross. In French, OSE means Œuvre de Secours aux Enfants, Agency for the Rescue. Is that right? For the rescue of children. They had gotten entry into the camp, pretending they were looking to see if human rights were being observed. Naturally, as we know, they weren't. What? What did you say? No. With the help of DOZ, we lived in a castle, and these castles, by the way, were not what you're thinking of. They were old pieces of castles that had been used. With the help of DOZ, we lived in a castle, and when the Nazis became aware of this, plans were made to hide us in a private home. But who would want 2 little girls? This is how, though, we were given to Monsieur and Madame Chapeau and their daughter Paulette. This family, thanks to my niece, is my niece here? There she is. And her daughter. My niece, Judy, worked very hard 1 year so that we could put this family amongst the righteous among the nation, which is a big honor. They are written up now at the Yad Vashem in Jerusalem and also in the Paris Holocaust headquarters. So it's an honor, and they deserve it. I love France and will always have wonderful memories. Leah and I survived because of the goodness in people, in spite of the inhumanities. Thank you. I will cherish my award forever. I don't know how forever will be, but I'm already 88. I mean, come on. But nevertheless, merci. Je chérirai cet honneur pour toujours. Thank you. I will cherish this honor forever. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. I am so honored. You have no idea. Can I just say this one more thing? When I received the email that I was getting this award, I promise you, I could not sleep, I could not eat. I was too excited, like I was shaking for a couple of days. But it feels good.
Well, we have one more present for you, Ruth, and this is from your family from HMH. And we love you very much.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much. Thank you. Help me downstairs. I'll take you down.